So, you know they can hear you right now. Do you think they're going to accept that as a welcome?
Yes. Oh, no, not at all.
Let's try one more time.
What? No.
Good morning, Starbase Indy. How are we this morning? Are we excited? There we go. So I would introduce John Billingsley and Bonita Freidericy, but they'd like to introduce themselves. And so, although they seem a little more subdued than you were yesterday, you weren't up late last night, were you?
I was up a little late. Everybody's going to have to sit in the front row. Seriously, there are only 9 of you, so everybody come up. There's 2 more coming. Come on, everybody get up. Up. We're going to have an extremely...
John's going to tell you a little
We're going to have an extremely intimate gathering today. Come in. It's going to be as intimate as any dog and pony show you've ever attended.
We're going to...
And we're not going to need these, I suspect, because we're going to be standing right here.
But it's kind of interesting and godlike, is it not? Do you know they actually...
Oh, maybe
they
it's
have godlikes in theaters when you do a play.
Well, I need to take care of the camera.
Come in.
Okay. All right.
You're leaving?
Was it something you said?
I was going to say, I usually don't offend anybody this quickly. What did I do? Was it sitting in the front row? Was it the proximity to your fellow Starfleeters that annoyed you?
No. I got to get home. I just wanted to say goodbye.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have a safe
Bye. Travel safe. Bye. 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 Wow, that's so anticlimactic now. Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm an admiral. Thank you. I know. It's going to be a little more low-key. If anybody needs water, we're going to put it here. We're just going to line up on the lip of the stage all the different treats we have. Bonnie, would you talk to people while I do this?
Yeah, also, I know some of you may have seen this, compliments of Bruce. We had chairs labeled by the elevators on, I believe it was the 4th floor? It was the 4th floor. One for me. It was kind of like Grandma and Grandpa chairs. Bonita and John, and then we were supplied with numbers 1 to 10. Because we remarked that with the chairs being set right in front of the elevators, it's a wonderful opportunity to judge people out of the elevators. So Bruce quickly made these up, which was fantastic. And we were sitting there with the numbers, and the first victims, well, people, happened to be a sister and brother, perhaps ages 12 and maybe 14 or 17. Who they got? Oh, they're my kids. They're your kids. Did you hear them? Did they tell you what happened? I know. She was so protective. Your daughter got out of the elevator and was like, your son said, oh, what's going on? What's going on?
Bonnie gave them a 1. I know, I gave them an 8. But Bonnie's scale apparently was 1 as the best, and my scale was 1 as the worst. So it was very confusing. Even we were confused.
So do you see, this is how people are in life. We don't know which way the scale is going. Mine was 1 to 10, 1 being best. John's was 10 to 1, 10 being best. He gave the children.
I did. And there was a collective 8. One of them was really a 9, one of them was really a 7, but I don't want to say which one was which. Would anybody like an orange? Really? Nobody? Are you sure? That's it. All right, here we go. Whoa, and very good. Would anybody like an apple?
I actually then gave John a 1.
Orange?
And he gave me an 8. However, I had changed my scale from 10 to 10 to 10 to 1, and I was annoyed at it. These are really, really effective. I
Apple?
market them. This is really going through one, having a really engaging
Nutella?
discussion.
Keep talking, keep
No,
talking.
it's like in my house. Anyway, your daughter was...
Mint flavored candy? Yes, I like it. Yes. Keep talking.
I'll just talk with you because it's
Mint
really
flavored
difficult
candy?
with this going on behind me. By the way, I do apologize because I ate the goldfish this morning because I was hungry.
Dark chocolate flavored
Your
candy?
daughter, she's pretty good with your son. She was like, she saw these, your son was like, oh, what's this that's going on? And she was like, no, just don't
Body lotion?
walk away.
Body lotion, going once, going twice, going 3 times, sold to the woman on stage. Now this one is the heart. Whoa, but that's the best. You said so yourself.
Alternate universe.
Oh, alternate universe. Somebody, is the person who gave us this honey butter here today?
It's not honey butter, it's pumpkin
It's pumpkin butter. Somebody gave us pumpkin butter, but here's the problem. We don't check our bags, and I can't take this on the plane. So with all due respect to the person who gave us this lovely jar of pumpkin butter, she's not here, so she isn't going to resent me doing this. Who would like a lovely
I
jar of
have to
pumpkin
say,
butter?
this is all organic.
Hold on, I gotta get a wind up for this one.
I'm giving the pumpkin butter a 10.
Thank you.
Pumpkin butter. We can't eat it, you know.
1 to 10. 10 being best. Actually, it is. It's handmade, homemade, and it's all organic.
I wrote a poem.
I'm selling it. Actually, each jar is $10.95, 14% discount. Then I say I suck, and I give myself a 1. What?
Hey, hold that microphone for me, would you?
Do you guys know that what you mean means please in our universe?
Only so I can speak. Please, would you please? Yeah. No, don't get us arrested. We don't want to see time in Indiana. A poem, alas, is not forthcoming. My head, you see, will not stop drumming from all the booze they poured down me in welcome to the Admiralty. So yes, this bit of doggerel has something of a desperate smell, but please on Sunday let's give thanks that I at least remembered pants.
That was his
That's a slam rhyme. So this is signed from Admiral Phil Flock, so whoever asks, and I realize there are only like 9 of you, so this is going to be a pretty ferocious
Hey, honey,
competition.
there's like 22.
Well, yeah, but I'm not counting certain people for reasons that only they understand. The winner, the person who asked the most provocative, interesting, salacious, or otherwise appalling question wins this poem and whichever of these treats are left, which I suspect will be none. Now this gets a little awkward too in terms of asking questions because I will ask you to reach into the bag of Doritos. Try not to fondle them all and pulling your Doritos out because that will make it less attractive to the next person. I like it when she turns away from me in shame. This is one of my favorite marital tropes. Dorito, I can't.
I've got a little game for myself where I'm just going to wander around ranking things on my own scale from time to time.
I totally don't like where our marriage is going, Bonnie, and I can see this.
Oh.
There's so many things where we don't want to go there. Yeah. Where'd my microphone go?
Into my hand.
Oh, here it is. Is this one working? Yes, very good. Do we have anything else we want to say before we start taking questions? Do you have a question for me? What is that? I could see that you were forming a question.
But I think I'm going to win everything.
Oh, you can win.
What is that on your crotch?
There's the most provocative question.
Here, I try to keep this tidy.
What is it?
I don't know, I think it may be lunch from yesterday, I'm not sure.
I think it was Thanksgiving dinner, actually, I'm afraid. It's entirely possible it was the 4th of July. I only have 1 pair of pants.
That's not true. I'm sorry, this is really devolving into all about our whole life. Everything else we've done is so highbrow.
I know,
at this point.
we've really tried to set a really high bar. An elevated discourse is
I
what we
do
aim for.
laundry every week. I buy him new pants from Target almost every month, and they just pile up.
You talk to people while I hand out Doritos. Doritos?
Anyway, in this gentle atmosphere, does anyone have a question? Anything they're deeply interested in? I thought maybe existential Sunday. Yes, dear. On the street like about an hour ago? Oh. No, she asked how we met. Have we told people this before?
No, you start.
Wait, hang on, I have a question.
Yes.
An hour ago out on the street, I know the course of clothes on Sunday. How the heck did American Lessons begin?
I'm a minister. We covered that yesterday. I can marry anybody here.
He has a ministry.
Your wife might object.
So we just married ourselves. You've been self-married.
Excuse me. So sorry.
Oh, right. How'd you guys do? Are you divorced yet? Or... We'll talk about that. We can get you back together. We have many techniques.
No, all right.
This is a really handy technique for getting together without having to really talk to each other.
Dorito? You're welcome, Dorito.
Your question.
All right. Goodness, so sorry.
John and I have very different versions of you would be surprised to hear, too. He was doing a production of the play Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. If you know it, he was playing Herbert Pocket, who actually has a scene in which he boxes with another character when they're young, with gloves and things like that, but he doesn't wear a shirt, and he's in little shorts, and John had a little water bucket with a sponge, and his character would box with the other character, and then dump the sponge and sponge himself off and keep boxing, and I was so taken with your bare torso. It's
Can I
really
just say,
horrible and dirty.
the gentleman who's walking away right now, who has event security on his back, I walked around with a bag of Doritos, and he was about to put a nickel in the bag. Which I was foolish enough to stop him from doing so.
I know, bring it on. We could use that
I
nickel.
know.
That's
Thank you, sir.
that's
It was a
pretty
quarter.
generous
I
of
take
you.
it back. It was a quarter. I'm sorry. He's going to give us a quarter. Get the quarter. Go get the quarter. Go get the quarter.
Thank you so much. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being best. Don't spend it all in one place.
Hey, 52 cents. Thank you.
That is not, actually, he was wonderful in the play, was the point that I was making. So I was there with a friend, we thought John was, we'd never seen him act before, we were,
Are you still telling the story of how we met?
it's hard for like hours.
I know it. My God, have mercy. We haven't even
Yeah, and
met yet in
then,
this
and then
story.
like I went to dinner with another friend, and then we went to like the store, and then we went, I'll get there. But anyway, eventually, we just met each other, and we talked back and forth. There was a commercial audition, and it was running extremely late, so it ran for about 3 hours, and we ended up sitting next to each other. And he had a date that night, and he was worrying, you'll be surprised, that he would be late to his date. So he was talking about it incessantly. And I was talking incessantly about how I did not believe in dating because I had been married and divorced, and I had not actually dated in about 5 years. And I said, well, the thing is, you meet someone, you go out on a date, you pretend to be really nice, right? And you never know if the person's like an axe murderer or a serial killer or a child molester. I mean, how do you know? I know. And so then, but we got to talking.
And I asked her for a number, and she gave it to me. It was not the right number, but I tracked her down. And I did indeed have a date with a woman that night, and I broke up with that woman the first thing the next morning. Pardon? Oh, I don't know. I keep a list. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can call back her name.
I don't think I know her name, but
You know her name?
now I don't remember it anymore. Oh, it wasn't Betsy.
No, Karen.
Oh,
Karen
Davenport.
Davenport. Karen Davenport. I still got it.
I will say that my best friend at the time, who is still one of
Read it.
them,
It's a Cheeto. It's a Cheeto.
the meaning of life with a Cheeto in your ear.
I promised everybody you were going to really be a highbrow act, Bonnie.
Then I'll put it in my nostril.
Your ear was higher.
And then enterprise. You're the best Cheeto ever. I did teach middle school. I got the kids' attention. I put pencils in my ear. I haven't had enough coffee, by the way.
Are you still telling the same story? You're going to
My
move
friend
one
Bruce,
question.
my friend Bruce met John the night before I went on that commercial audition and said, do you know a guy named John Billingsley? Because they just met at dinner that night. And I said, yeah, he's a really good actor. And my friend Bruce said, you should go out with him. And I said, why? And he said, I don't know. You guys remind me of each other. And so that's why I gave him my phone number. Because I didn't think I should, it didn't make sense to me. It seemed kind of like not fair to people. I don't know what that meant either.
Look at the people over here. They're getting really jonesy about the Cheetos. It's like, come on, man. Get your Cheeto out of the bag. I want my Cheeto. Here you go.
Okay,
All right, Cheeto.
John, you go up there, I'll get the bag.
You get
That's
the bag?
not really mean. You go up there, I'll get the
All
bag.
right, okay.
I got it. Oh, you're over there? Okay.
This woman just said, I want a Cheeto, not a Frito.
That rhymed.
That is a
You're a
great
poet
line.
and you
Okay.
did know it. Would you like a...
We're down to the nubbins here, but we can still scrape a couple of Cheetos out of the bag. Let me just touch them first, make sure they're all nice, and there we go. Now you can say you've eaten a Cheeto that's been thoroughly rubbed by Dr. Phlox. No, good, no.
Frito? I'm sorry. This is making me laugh out
Wait, there's a guy in the back row. He's thinking,
Cheeto?
I'm never going to get a Cheeto. They're never going to have enough Cheetos to get to me. Well, you're wrong, sir. You're wrong. Open your hands. I'm going to give you all the Cheetos. I insist. You must take all the Cheetos. Mark, don't kill me here. This is the act. Take the Cheetos. Fabulous, thank you. Oh, Jesus, Mark, it was like pulling teeth. Bring them home to your children.
You can see why I married him, can't you? By the way, yes, this is what happens to actors
hold my thing.
later in their careers. They go around spreading Cheetos in the love. A Frito.
Did you see that, Bonnie? I did the best tuck and roll of our 20-year marriage, and you weren't even looking. Never mind.
I'm actually.
I only got one tuck and roll in me a day.
Was it really good?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like Shatner-esque, but it was not bad.
Was it like Tim Allen in Galaxy Quest? That's one of my favorites.
No, it's more like Wally Cox on a bad day. Is there another question?
Freedom?
Because we milked that one for a long time. Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Would you like to hear?
Lucifer. Yes, I was recently on Lucifer play, and you'll be surprised to hear a homicidal maniac. Extraordinary. My agent called and said, we have an audition for Lucifer for you. And I said, well, what's the part? And they said, you know, homicidal maniac. And I said, I asked them if they'll make an offer. And they called back a few minutes later, and they said, oh, they love you as a homicidal maniac. You got the offer. So, yes, it was nice. It was nice people. I went up, I did my thing. I killed, I got caught, and I went home. Vancouver, though. I love Vancouver. It's a wonderful place. Anybody been to Vancouver, Washington before?
I have.
Vancouver, Canada?
I have with a guy named John Billingsley.
He's a wonderful travel companion, I hear. It's a beautiful place. If anybody ever been to the Pacific Northwest generally? Seattle, and that's where I'm not from, but I lived there for about 13 years. I had a theater company up there, and I taught up there. And it's a lovely, wonderful part of the world. I can't help but not just be enraptured by my wife. She's chasing a man out of the road. No, she's going to the sound people. That's lovely, Bonnie.
Nobody ignored that here.
That's so wonderful. Nobody thinks of them. Wait, I think they should get the special Cheeto. Duck under the light and special Cheeto, special Cheeto. There you go.
Oh no! It was in my ear.
He doesn't have to know everything about our personal life.
I took a shower. I used a Q-tip.
I've never seen a man pick up a Cheeto with that much revulsion. Not that I've seen a lot of men pick up Cheetos. I don't want to give you the wrong impression.
Honey, this one was on the floor, so we have kind of a couple here. This is a really special thing here. Oh! Actually, we have a 30-minute rule.
We have a 30-year war rule. It's like the 30-year war, you know?
We have like a 2-month rule on his pens.
I just did a good reaction. Another question?
No, he didn't.
Yes, sir.
You were in a movie, sorta. We were called High Crime.
Yes. I was in a movie, sorta. Are you referring to my performance, or the movie, or your own ability to track the movie? Or...
Can I sell you these? If you get a set of these, you don't have to say sort of. You can say, you were in a movie.
In fact, you can just get rid of all the numbers except the one, and that describes my cinematic career.
That was Enterprise.
Yes.
And you don't really see it.
Yes.
Oh,
And I'm kind of like, I know that voice.
Yes.
And I was wondering, did you have to do makeup for that?
did you have to put on pants?
Was there a reason they didn't want to see you on camera?
They did eventually see me. It was a scene in a grocery store, and I was basically there as sort of a CIA guy to kind of warn the protagonist, Ashley Judd, that her husband was perhaps guilty of a crime she didn't think he was guilty of. So it was all supposed to be rather, la la la, psst, psst, hey lady. So I think they tried to keep me in the shadows in the beginning part of the scene.
That's what they told him.
Yeah. And I did wear pants. It's in my contract now. Must wear pants.
If you saw that, I thought that was a really good scene. I was quite impressed with you. I gave you a...
Oh, wow. Tansy in the works.
How that works?
Yes, hello. You almost missed all the snacks, but fortunately we have some goldfish for
And we
you.
have a song for you. Good Morning.
Good morning. We drank the whole night through. Good morning. I'm through.
Yes.
I'm going to give these nice people some goldfish.
I thought I ate all the goldfish. Sorry, people. I didn't realize there was another bag. Damn. There was a
Can I hold
question.
my microphone for a second?
You had a question?
Yes.
I'm prescient. Did you see that? Yes, no, I know you were asking. Yes,
This
sir.
question's for John.
I'll answer it.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Were there any points in Enterprise where you looked at the script and you said, you know what, my character... Was there any point in Enterprise where you looked at the script and you felt that your character wouldn't be portrayed correctly the way the script was, so you had to say in developing the character different from how the writers felt?
Every single morning.
Yes, yeah, there were episodes where, for instance, there was an episode in which they had suggested my character had been a medic in the Denobulan infantry. And I thought, that just seems a little too Earth and human-centric. There were moments like that, but they didn't really, they were very nice. And I think perhaps probably Connor and the captain and Jolene had a little more of the open line of communication. Are you leaving because I didn't give you any I will be happy here. Take
He
them
won't
home.
chase you. He
Take them
won't
home.
track you down.
Are you leaving because you have to go somewhere, or are you leaving because of us? Where do you have to go? To breakfast with who? Where do you-
This is what he does. Doesn't tell us.
Just by yourself. Okay, wait a second. To begin with, you don't have to go have breakfast by yourself. That's not an actual date. That's just you want to go have
John,
breakfast.
that's called a long-suffering look that she's giving you. You may recognize it from my face.
Or would you bring us back something? If you're going to leave, I think that's the least you should do.
Say no. Just say no.
Some kind of like a croissant-y thing with bacon in it? Okay, all right. Here, take the goldfish then. You sure? All right. So that woman is going to bring us back a croissant-y thing with bacon in it. We're never going to see her again. I know
Excuse me.
that.
Honey, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for your patience.
Oh, please! Don't undercut me like that! Oh my God! Oh my God! Look at you. Yeah.
I get a 10.
They did not. They did not. Well.
Another one bites the dust.
Wow. You don't have to put up with that, sir.
Bye.
You and I, let's go off and form some kind of a man
Adios.
commune together.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Oh.
Okay, bring us back a croissant sandwich with bacon. That'll be one for me and one for me. The answer to your question would be that they did not really give me a tremendous amount of latitude to call and say, well, what the hell? I did have some meetings with them. I did suggest some things. I think I mentioned yesterday that my idea of turning sharply to the left when I was naked and then across the room a flower pot would fall to the floor was rejected.
He likes to mention that every day. There's also the one with the worm.
Oh yes, I lost some weight, which a few years later I magically found again. In the third season I lost some weight, and I suggested that perhaps what they should do is, it turns out that the doctor has a tapeworm, and that everybody in the crew should be enlisted in pulling the tapeworm out my butt, and it was so long that they eventually threw it out of the ship, and it wrapped itself around the Enterprise, and became a mortal threat to our safety. I also suggested that we stop and pick up a ship full of Denobulans, and all the Denobulans should look like me, and they should just eat all the food and leave a mess, and the whole place become like a garbage dump.
Oh, I forgot you actually did suggest
I suggested I had some great ideas, and none of them were ever accepted. It's like, that's a great idea. Come on, it could be like thousands of floxes are coming off the ship, and they all look like me. And it's all like, where's the mess hall? I'm hungry. And the whole ship would just be like plates everywhere, like, stacked up on the bridge, and like you're tripping over hamburgers. And
Now, you had a lot of crazy ideas. He'd go off with his little briefcase and all. He used to carry a briefcase. Do you still do that?
I'm looking for some of the Cheetos we lost.
They're gone. They swam away.
Bullshit. I'm gonna find them.
They kind of match the carpet.
I have some more Cheetos. Anybody would like some Cheetos? The woman who dissed me? I think not. No. I'm a forgiving type. She's not going to put her hands on these Cheetos again. Here you go. Well, hold on your hand. I'm going to give you a lot of Cheetos.
That was really interesting. That's very
No, they're not
gentlemanly
Cheetos,
of
they're
her
gold.
partner. He got on the phone and stood up and walked away. That's
What?
an interesting combination of talking on the phone.
Get out of the way.
Yes. And talking on the phone during a performance. I like it. Nice. It's the wife. Oh, hi, wife.
Wait, you're talking to your wife?
Hang on.
Who's this lady? You're his mother? Oh my heavens! I thought you were his daughter.
You're very beautiful.
I totally, wow, oh my God.
You know, John's actually my great-grandfather.
Yeah. Gramps, you can call me.
No, actually, I'm his mother. We're now coming in. Yes, do we have another question?
Yes.
Yes.
I was wondering
Oh,
about.
that's what I'm not doing my job. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm going to go in here. Like 3 hours later.
I was wondering about your craziest fan experience, and might I add that when I asked this question to Dominic last year, he told me this story about Connor Trinneer's underwear, and
I'm not sure I've heard that story. Get up on stage.
Let's hear the story.
What's the story about Connor? Does anybody else know the story about Connor Trinneer's underwear?
Did it end up in your pants?
I have nothing to do with the story. I have nothing to do. I assure you that I have
well, I
nothing to do
can't
with
tell it as good as him, but basically it's the underwear that he was wearing in the scene with
the decontamination gel,
Yes.
which we now know was
And
mayonnaise.
the fan came up to, I guess, Connor and told him that
He bid on it at an auction.
he was wearing it.
Oh no! Oh, wow! Really? Wow. Well, funny you should mention that, but I'm wearing Jolene Blaylock's panties right now. Get up here quick! Bonnie, stop me! Stop me! I can't stop myself!
There weren't too many pictures of me at conventions.
Man, are there any children present? Then you'll understand the punchline to the joke. You fuck one goat.
Play on that joke, eh?
Huh? Oh.
-10.
Oh, no. There was a wonderful little bit on the Smothers Brothers show. There was a comment on censorship in which some of the great comedians of our time, Jack Benny,
right.
Bob Hope, etc., stood up on a line on stage and they only told the punchline to a dirty joke. And different pockets of the audience would laugh at different punchlines. And, you know, if you've ever seen Jack Benny, you know his ability to milk a take. Like, 40 minutes, it was just a reaction to the laughter, which caused more laughter. Anyway, Goldfish? Question?
Oh, you don't
Oh, right, I
understand
didn't answer the
one.
question.
Sorry, I kept him on track for you. This could be an award-winning question.
I told you it could be an award-winning question. No, that's right, we still have a poem to give out. So far, most embarrassing interaction with a fan. Is that your real walk or is that a fake walk? I can see you leaving.
He's back. He just saw that you.
Oh, okay, because you called attention to yourself in a way that suggests you want something from me. Perhaps a goldfish.
No, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. I know that body posture too. Your wife called. I got it.
Oh, your wife
She
called.
said, "Get away from that man on the
Get away from that man on the stage. We've had enough of him. Get the hell out. Okay. If you're going to breakfast, please bring me back a
And I can
croissant.
see why you would turn around and walk away saying, "Honey, don't love that man. Love me."
Yeah. Quamtwa! Pomtain! I don't know how to speak Klingon. I don't know. Poontang! Yes, so you heard the story about kiwi and strawberry, or raspberry, boysenberry, whatever berry she was. I told you that one yesterday.
Oh, there was Lady Hawk.
Oh yes, Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk was a fan. She was dressed in a I don't know quite how to describe what she was dressed in.
Lady Hawk type outfit
Lady Hawk.
from the movie.
What you would expect somebody whose name is Lady Hawk to dress like. And she said at one of the booths when I was signing, "Can I give you a kiss?" I was like, "Sure."
Oh, we did a demonstration. I feel I'm part of the demonstration. I'm feeling a little nervous right now. Oh, gosh. At least the pants are going up.
Can I give you a kiss?
Oh, sure.
Well, it went on much longer than that. And she
Actually-
bent me over the table.
I was there. It is true, actually. I saw it. It was a very that kind of gentle moment of like, "Can I give you a kiss, dear?" And John going, "Oh, absolutely," leaning down and then getting the full.
The full, yeah, no, I know. It's like, I think she actually fractured a rib. Lady Hawk. Yeah, if you ever bump into a woman named Lady Hawk and she has to give you a kiss, just make sure you've got your insurance up to date.
I'm trying to think if there were any others. You had some underpants, but that was Chuck the Chain Smoker, I think. In Arizona? I wasn't there. Didn't they throw underpants at Chuck the Chain Smoker? Maybe I dreamt it.
You must be referring to an entirely different marriage. I did play a guy in a series of commercials, Chuck the Chain Smoker. who was trying to quit smoking. And they made a surprising number of these commercials, which eventually went into a bank of commercials that would be available for purchase by other states using tobacco settlement money. So there was a strange period of time in my life when I would go around places and people would say, "Hey, Chuck the chain smoker!" I'd be like, yeah, that's me.
You'll be surprised to know he was actually naked in one of the Chuck the Chain Smoker.
I did not write that commercial. That just happened to be. We did, however, said that the idea is that Chuck the chain smoker feels naked without his cigarettes. So there's like a flash of him imagining what it would be like to be a non-smoker. And he's sitting there naked in a chair with his legs crossed and all the cigarette regalia at his feet, you know, the lighters he's discarded, the ashtrays, yada, 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 which we did use as our Christmas card that year.
We didn't use it.
The nice thing if you're an actor is if you're of a mind to send Christmas cards, we're not far too lazy to do it, is we used to send Christmas cards that would be kind of like composites of the different roles we played, you know, like man who had his leg burned off. It's like, had a great year!
Well, that's right, you played the guy without an arm?
I think without a leg. I played a guy on Nip Tuck who has, and this is a real condition, apparently.
Body
Yeah,
disorder?
yeah.
I don't want my limbs disordered?
Yeah, it's basically somebody.
And that's the technical term, I don't want my limbs disordered.
And there are like 150 people in the world who believe they have an extraneous limb and they want it amputated. And there's a condition in Nip Tuck which basically trafficked into grotesque. I was a guy who wanted to amputate his own leg, and eventually I was able to succeed in doing this. But until then, I decided that what I would do my character, he would actually rig up a contraption that hid his leg, so they gave me like a pair of pants with a size 80 waist, and they kind of buried me in it, and they had my leg tied up behind me with a rope, and I had to, you know, like...
However, he was an architect in a suit, so you see the twist. It was actually, it was a nice suit. No, I mean, there was a show where you... No!
Do that move again. Wow, that's the Uhura Hawk dance.
No, you played a guy in it, you were a diner guy, and you had octopus arms.
Oh yes, Freaky Links.
Freaky Links.
I was a half man, half squid. Has anybody here seen Freaky Links? No, I didn't
They
think so.
had a puppeteer, remember?
Yes, they had a guy with a cart that would drive around behind me in certain scenes where my tentacles were revealed. And I don't remember how they rigged it up, but basically I couldn't be too far away from the cart. And the cart would operate these like flailing octopus arms that somehow emerged from my body. I forgot about that. That was not a very good show.
And you played the devil on G versus E, and in a scene at the golf course, he did an homage to me. He asked him if he could bend down to pick up a golf ball and show me.
Yeah.
And that was for me.
It was. Is it Bonnie?
I know. Love.
I know. Yeah.
No, that's where he met Jolene.
That's where I met Jolene. Yes, Jolene was actually in this episode of G versus E, and some years had passed, and when we did the table read for Enterprise, before we'd all met each other, Jolene walked in, and she came kind of running down the length of the conference table and gave me a big kiss. And I didn't know who the hell she was. I thought, well, this is a very friendly woman. Because she had changed her hairstyle, and then I was mortified because she looked at me like, why don't you understand why I just kissed you? It's like, I don't know. I'm speechless, and I'm rarely speechless.
It's true. Now, what he's not telling you, too, is you coached her on G versus E.
I did.
She asked you to coach her for an audition.
I did. She did not get that job, and in fact, her career was in tatters for a number of years after that. Yes, for an NYPD Blue.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot that part, but I remember the rest. That's pretty good for
She
me.
was my minion on G versus E. Question? Oh yes. Let me give you. What are these? Goldfish. Hi. No. Okay.
So has there ever been any role in that you thought was too absurd?
Any role that I ever thought was too absurd? Well, not that I think they're absurd, but I will say that I have my own issues. Oh. Yeah.
Well, not absurd, but...
Yes.
Well, you do have your own issues, I suppose.
Yes. I don't like horror movies. I don't like movies that traffic in misogyny, particularly. I don't like movies that revel in violence towards women. So I turn all of those things down. I was in True Blood, and it is.
Oh, and it's not violent at all.
Well, it's a weird line, and I guess to be more specific,
The
I think.
line is this.
What's-
Money, absurd, or violent.
I will say in my own defense that I think there is a genre of horror film that is what I call torture porn. And those are the ones I guess I'm talking about, where it's a woman in danger and she's basically, running naked through the woods for the whole thing. Now I know you're thinking, what about Cold Case? Well, that was television. Cold Case, I grant you.
What I'm actually thinking of is the one where you got the letter back from the Bank of America because you.
Oh yeah.
We're just going to do this back and forth. You won't understand a word of this, but remember that?
Yes, I know. Yes, I did a movie a long time ago that was sort of a
lesbian slasher?
It was a lesbian slasher film, and in the middle of the film there was a hot lesbian love scene. This was not actually in the script when I originally read it. When I eventually saw the movie, it was like, oh, somebody decided that the reason this movie exists is basically to have a lot of lesbian love scenes. So they made it a lot of lesbian love making, and they kind of cut most of the rest of the movie out. I had cause to write to the Bank of America to complain about something, and what I usually do to save paper is I print out, you can see where this is going, yes. I print out, things sometimes on the reverse as a script page, and I put a big X through it. And I had neglected to really do due diligence. So apparently I sent the Bank of America a letter on the flip side of which was an extremely erotic lesbian love scene with frequent uses of the C word and references to knives and horrible mutilations. And Bank of America says, "Dear sir, we certainly understand your concerns about your overdraft issue, but we really resent the fact that you would send us. We cannot have this letter in our file. We are asking you please to never communicate with us again." And I got the letter. It was like I didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
It was like a tattered piece of paper, like someone had cried on it and just sort of shoved in there with it. And John was like, we just started dating. He's like, why did I get this back?
I know. It's like as I flipped it over, it was like, ah! Dear Bank of America, I did not want in any way to make you feel badly. Bank of America, I'm still sorting that out.
I like that one.
Yes, a question. Yes, sir. Cheetah? No, not a cheetah. Goldfish. Goldfish? I'll take the bag. What the hell?
It's our minder.
Yeah. Bruce has been. Bruce. Turn up for Bruce. It's like having a valet for the weekend. It's like, oh, Bruce, would you mind? Can I have a croissant sandwich, please?
It's like having a second wife, so thank you very much.
I'd take that.
With love.
This is provoking you. If you could choose your next role, what would it be?
Oh, Batman. Old fat Batman. Batman who can't even be bothered to get out of bed. Like the bat signal is like, fuck that. Been fighting crime for 70 fucking years.
I want to be Robin. I want to say
Robin's dead, baby. I hate to break it to you. They have killed Robin like 80,000 times.
Well, then I can be Zombie Robin, who's a woman.
Zombie Robin. Zombie female Robin. That is a show. Zombie female Robin.
And old fat Batman.
Old fat Batman and zombie female Robin. Da 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 da. Oh, zombie Robin, I don't feel like fighting crime today. I'm going back to bed. Episode 1. Episode 2. I don't feel like fighting crime today either. I'm going back to bed. Episode 3. Not today. Back to bed. And show is canceled. I didn't really know where they were going with that show.
I'm sure I was trying to get the Batmobile.
Where are the keys? Where are the keys? I don't know where the keys are. I don't know. Oh, what was the crime? What are you doing? That's not going to do anything. They don't. But clapping for the keys. What does that mean? The keys are going to jump up and say, "Oh, there. Thank you very much."
I'm finding this so funny. It could be like 3 weeks and I was trying to.
No, I know. And the crime. In the meantime, Gotham City is just like torn apart. Joker's killed everyone, and we're still like, "Oh, did I put my pants on? Where's my towel? Somebody get my towel!" Yeah, that's the answer.
You've given me a whole new outlook on my career. I'm very excited about my future.
We've given away all the snacks. Now it's down to swigs of water, I'm afraid. I think I have a cough drop somewhere.
Right, you and the
Oh, wait, I've got some body lotion. Some lucky soul. Are you raising your hand for the body lotion? You got it.
Wait,
You got it.
I have halls and they're wrapped.
Wait, no, she wanted the body lotion, honey. All right. Don't think I'm going to apply it because there are laws against that. Put out your hand. There you go.
You've never,
A story of
you've never
woe.
shoved that kind of
Body
pressure.
lotion? Look at this. They're taking the body. They're lapping up the body lotion back here. Body lotion. Here's it. Look, they're going wild for the body lotion. Holy cow. I'm going to come back to you for your question. Body lotion? Holy cow. Wow. Who'd have thunk, Bonnie? Who'd have thunk? No, I can't stop myself. I'm going crazy. All right. Yes.
Can I just say thank you so much for giving him so much joy today?
Yes. What was your question?
Okay, so
Don't take the mic because it's going to get all greasy.
Okay, so we have a story of woe for you, actually, from yesterday.
My woe or your woe?
Yes. So, yesterday during the Q&A, you were talking about 12 Dogs of Christmas.
Yeah.
So, our dumb selves decided, hey, let's go get this movie and make him sign it.
Have you watched it yet?
Well,
You wouldn't be alive
We
if you
went-
still watched it.
so like during the panel even, I'm on Walmart.com, and I'm like, hey, look, they have it. We can pick it up in the morning. Tee. So we go, and I order it, and it's definitely the original 12 Dogs of Christmas, but when they go to, says, your order to pick up, it's the sequel. Good news is I spent $5 on the sequel. Meanwhile, I work at Toys R Us, and we sell at Toys R Us. However, they put me on the schedule for today, so I couldn't go in today to go get it. Because I called off, because what am I going to do? Hey guys, I'm not working, but here I am on your weird-ass Christmas movie. So...
This question is a little longer than I anticipated.
Right, that's what I do. But, so...
I heard that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you were
Now, you can utter all you want, but I can hear it.
She goes into Toys R Us with my discount card and everything. I'm sitting in the parking lot at the place I work in the most
Oh,
conspicuous...
this is like one of my stories.
Yeah,
right?
in the most conspicuous hoodie I could possibly have on.
I'm just going to take a little nap until
Nobody comes in.
That's what he does
And
to
she
me.
comes running, she comes back out super, super sad because all we have at Toys R Us is also 12 Dogs of Christmas, Great Puppy Rescue, which I might add is also the name of several Barbie movies. Not 12 Dogs of Christmas, but the Great Puppy Rescue. That is our story of woe and how we were going to be really excited to make you sign it.
That is the story of woe.
That is the story of woe.
I'll tell you what, if you give us your address at some point, we will sign them. We have like a couple of them at home, and I'm happy to get rid of them. We will sign it, and I will send it to you with a whole $1 expense for us to send you a little piece of heaven.
Damn, woman. We're not going to have any money left by the time you're through lavishing it on people like this. Thank God we got 52
I
cents for the
know,
security
so it
guard.
only cost me like 64 cents, thanks to...
Somebody handed me a small box of nerds to hand out, so we're not
Are they
done yet. Yeah, I just opened them. I went to college. Who wants a nerd? I guess you don't get a single nerd, you kind of get like a little gaggle of nerds or something.
For
I don't know.
the couple that are not feeling well, would you like a Halls? While I'm up and about, they're wrapped.
Nerds, thank you very much.
And they're
They're
untouched by
slippery little
John, I
bastards.
promise you.
Nerds? Anybody in the back want a nerd? Nerd? Here you go, nerd. Here you go, nerd.
Is anyone else sick and desiring of a Halls wrapped?
Nerd. There you, oh, that's right, you still got
I
that
don't know
lotion
what
on.
they're
Are you going to walk around with that lotion all day? Wow, nerd. Anybody who's trying to film this is really getting fucked right now. You're going to show this video to people next year. It's going to be like, we're on camera for all of 5 seconds. It's just a mad dash to try and... We're over here! Hey, camera guy! Woohoo! Nerd? My pants are falling down. Just grab my pants quick. They're falling down. I got them. Here, hold this one.
Why do I feel like I'm in the movie Arthur all of a sudden?
Hold my nerves.
Hold my pants, sir. Oh, this is the problem we have when we're on camera, dear. We're supposed to stay still. That's what they told me
I
last week.
know. Is there a question? I can't remember. I've lost track. Yes.
Oh, you're so dignified.
Would you have that
A gentle
microphone
raise of
back
the
there?
hand, calm.
It's
Yes.
way too early and I had work last night.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Have some nerves.
Thanks.
You're not explosive, it's okay.
I haven't taught him that you shut the body, close the box first before you close it.
It's hard to close a box of nerds. It's hard to close a box of nerds!
That ain't Shakespeare, but close. Yeah.
Bonnie,
Oh.
what was your favorite role you've ever played, and do you regret marrying this clown sometimes?
That's 2 questions. Give me back some nerds. I want to have those nerds back. And the microphone. Right.
I'll let you decide which way this
Give me those 10.
Well,
Answer the second question first. If you don't answer it right, you're not going to live to answer the first question.
a favorite role in theater would be different from a favorite role. Batman and Robin, man, what a show is lost. The roles in theater and film and TV would be different than our main favorite. Probably it would be General Beckman, just because I actually got to do enough with her. Although much of it was on a monitor, once they released me out into the world, I got to, I mean, how many times do you get to launch a rocket launcher? That's not many. And blow someone through a door. Yeah.
You, I think, like doing the Shaw play many years back with the Jess. What was that?
Heartbreak House.
Heartbreak House.
I very much enjoyed, if you know Amy and David Sedaris, who wrote, I mean, talk pretty well, yes, you guys know who they are. They wrote a play together called The Book of Liz that she did, Amy Sedaris did in New York 15 years ago. And it was about a little Amish woman, although they called her squeamish, who had buck teeth and had a sweating problem from birth, where she could not, she would sweat uncontrollably. And she lived in a squeamish community and made cheese balls, which are balls made of cheese, that their whole community was known for. People would come from everywhere to buy them. But she goes on her adventures, and she was one of the most endearing characters. I got to play her when they did a production here in Los Angeles, and got to sweat for an hour and a half on stage. People would spray me with water.
Let's answer the second question now.
Yes.
Does anybody remember the second question? The second question has something to do with the fact of, do you regret the marital vows you took? Because I believe the word you used, madam, was clown. You ever regret marrying this clown because he clowns around?
You know, regret is a strong word. Clown could be considered a strong word as well. And I go back to the beauty of numbers, not words. I give this man in our marriage a 10.
I'm giving her a goddamn poem, so what do you think about that?
Woo-hoo! No, you know what? No, I don't. I don't ever regret. He's my best friend. Yeah, you do that.
Let me tell you about my conga line. Anyway, I don't know how the song goes.
Now, I will say it is a marriage, so occasionally there may be a little...
One time, you fuck one goat.
Yeah, like things like that. You know, a little bit like, no, it's just go.
I did shampoo somebody's hair at a convention once, and that was the line that Bonnie felt I crossed. She wanted the shampoo. It's like people were begging for the body lotion. I have some shampoo. Wait a second. Anybody? Her hand went up. I'm sure it did. Didn't it? I saw it. No, you. I did. I'm sure it did. No. Are you sure? I could have sworn I saw her hand go up. Your hand went up, and God, you've got a lot of hair. Forget it. I would have to get the industrial bottle.
This is why I didn't have children.
Well, there were 2 reasons you didn't have children. My vasectomy had something to do with it.
Question? We're just moving right along there. Another question.
Operation I'd heartily endorse, by the way. Question? Yes.
I don't know what the
This is to cover my remarks about vasectomies.
I won't get you with that. I know there's a little fear over here like that.
There's a little fear.
How difficult was it for you when you were playing General Beckman to stay in character when everybody was being over the top and comedic? You were always very serious. I just wonder how many times, how difficult was it to not break?
That's a really interesting question. Because it's about me. I will say, particularly with the stuff on the monitors, until they figured out how to rake a video system, which now they can do easily, but the show started in, 2007, I think. They didn't have a lot of the technology that they pretended to have. So, and I was with Tony Todd in the first season. They shot our stuff all by ourselves, and someone would just read in their lines, so we didn't know how funny it would be. When they started figuring out how to do it, then I started interacting with them, and they would all be on the other side of the camera. The thing is I moved around too, so it was kind of a contest to see who could make someone else laugh the hardest. Like, I would do the whole scene with pencils sticking out of my nose and ears. You've seen the Cheeto.
Hey, wait a second. Hey, Darth Vader, take it somewhere else. Hey, Darth! Hey, Hey, Darth!
Vader. Call
Darth!
him
Vader!
Vader.
Vader!
Hey,
We're
Vader.
trying to do a dog and pony show in here. What you up to, baby? Uh-oh, here it comes. Oh, boy. Hey, Darth, come on up here, man. I got some Fritos for you.
You're looking good, man. I love the suit, nicely polished.
Can you eat a Frito? Give it up for Darth Vader! Woo! Are you Darth Vader, or are you... I'm not... He's not Darth Vader.
We'll just talk personally between
He's
you
what?
and me just to finish this question.
Oh, no, he's not Darth Vader. He's merely a supernumerary, honey. I'm sorry. Oh, man. We're still going to give you some Fritos. You want some? I didn't actually invite you all the way up on stage. Holy shit. Can you eat a Frito? Your ha-ha-ka-baha? Your mouth doesn't work, and yet you rule the galaxy. That seems odd. All right. Well, you come to the right place. Yeah, I think you are. Wow. Yeah, very nice show. Very nicely put together, I have to say. Who is the man beneath the mask, may I ask?
I am Scott Moss. I'm part of the 501st Garrison, part of the Blumpton Garrison, which is local, part of the 501st.
Does it bother you that I'm eating these Fritos in front of you? I'm sure glad I'm a human. You did? Did you have a croissant with bacon right now? That sounds good. Where's that woman with the goddamn croissant? My wife is signaling subtly that she wants you to leave. Or she won't. It's entirely possible she wants me to leave. Let's both leave. Come on. No, you first. Because when you get down there, I'm going to jump on your back. Oh, they're right there. Okay. Very good. What? 1, 2, 3. Hey, Bonnie, I'm running off with this stormtrooper.
Nice meeting you, man. I'm sorry.
Nice being married to you, honey. I love you very much.
You know that question about having regrets?
I don't imagine it'll last. Don't remarry in the time I'm gone.
I'd have to ask you to marry me to whoever I married, so that would be okay. Now I've got the stage to myself. Heaven!
I came back! I came back! I came back! I couldn't be away from you! I missed you so much!
I know it looks like I can't keep a straight face, which is why you asked me that question. Well, I was playing General Beckman, I could because, I would get fired if I didn't keep a straight face, but he made me laugh.
Rita? I've given them all a good fondle.
Now I'm wondering if you fondle all the food in the house. You know, yesterday we talked about the fact that he drinks the milk out of the container.
With the mayonnaise.
With the mayonnaise. I know. I'm getting really, really worried. I'm going to have to clean out our whole kitchen.
No more broccoli.
Oh my God, with the broccoli. You paid attention. I'm very proud of you.
You did, I know. I was thinking of all my annoying habits yesterday after that question.
You were? Oh, that's when you made that kind of weird stare and you drooled a little bit? Water, honey? Yeah, go on. I'm not going to stop you from listing your own annoying habits. Here.
I cleaned the cat litter box way too much. It really annoys him.
He's only cleaned it twice the entire 19 years we've been together. He hates the cat litter. Although I think I don't mean to be like gender biased, but do you find that mostly men don't like to clean the cat litter? Is that true? Who likes to clean? Well, who likes to clean the cat litter? You do. You like to clean the cat. Well, that's very sweet of you. See, it's a hard thing. Anyway.
You sometimes take a poop in the litter box just to have something to clean? I sized you up immediately.
Is that why the poop in the litter box is bigger than I think it should be?
Why? Bonnie needs to clean that litter box.
Why do we always go here in our highbrow shows? What else annoys yourself about
This made people laugh.
Squatting's funny, honey.
Squatting, funny.
So if you see him in like a CSI or something in the future, and you suddenly see him going like this, you'll know he thinks it's funny. Yes,
I think in this scene that he might squat as if to take a dump in the litter box.
you actually do know that's going to hurt tomorrow. At our age,
now. Tomorrow? We're past that stage, baby. The pain is immediate.
Again, Batman and Robin and their old to see us tomorrow going, wow, that was a great convention.
I need to pee and I can't get out of the tights. What do I do? I can't get out of the tights.
That's what trap doors are for. So what are the things are annoying about you? Go on, I'm listening.
The other things that are annoying about me, I'm supposed to tell you what's
You
annoying
said
about me?
you were drooling and dreaming of them.
No, you said you were the one who brought up drooling.
You were doing the drooling.
I was only thinking of the litter box.
Oh, what else? What else are you annoying?
So am I a big drooler? I didn't know that. I'm
No,
glad we have this chair between us right now.
I don't like that. Okay, another question, and you can ask him what his annoying habits are. I'll have an answer for you. I'm running. Keep up the pattern here. I can't do everything.
I'm still getting rid of that
For
freedom.
John.
Pardon?
This one's for you.
Okay.
So in SG1, you played a Trekkie.
Yes.
Then you went on to be in Trek. How was that? And did you
I believe the other gentleman played the Trekkie, and I played the anti-Trekkie. Right? On the nose?
Yeah.
I know my oeuvre. Yeah, so what was your question?
How did it go from being that to being on Trek?
I did that, I think, while I was on Trek. It was kind of fun because as opposed to Trek, where you really have to stick to the script, word for word, which you'll find this hard to believe, I don't particularly like to do. On Stargate, they actually let you improvise, and they let you have some fun, and the gentleman that I played opposite, Patrick, do you remember his name, Bonnie?
Patrick.
No, that wasn't it. That would have been a weird name. Oh, hi, I'm Patrick.
Would it be Hurley?
No. Anyway, whatever the goddamn name was, he was a lovely. This is, talk about my wife's annoying habits. If you ask her a question, until she comes up with the answer, she will try to answer it. 10 years later, capital of Manitoba. Saskatchewan? Bangalore? O'Connor? No. The thing is, they brought that guy back, and they didn't bring me back. He came back for subsequent episodes, and now he's dead to me. Yeah, but I did love doing that show. The gentleman who plays the lead had a very cushy contract that allowed him to basically work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and take a 4-day weekend off. Yes. Boy, it's good to be the king, is all I can say. So it's kind of an interesting schedule, because they worked your butt off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you'd have a 4-day weekend, pretty much, which was nice.
I gotta remember the name.
Yeah, you do. You will, 20 years from now. Question over here? What about the Noors? I see you on your phone, sir. Oh, yes, I see you planning your talk, thinking about smart shit, thinking about scientific shit, when we're here trying to perform lowbrow comedy. How daft you, sir! I call you out. Now you must ask a question. Don't ask me anything smart.
This is what happens if you have a thought in your brain.
I can see him there. He's thinking chemistry, science.
Hey, John. Well, I'm putting...
Genetics.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Well, I'm puttering my way over there. Please give a great plug for our friend Greg and Signing for Hunger.
Greg, come up here. Plug yourself.
Happy birthday to you.
Is it his birthday?
Happy birthday
to you. Happy 63rd birthday. You don't look a day over 62. Happy birthday. Yes.
Patrick Curie?
Oh my God, you're like my wife. I'm a guy. I'm sorry you brought the guy up.
I don't know. I looked on IMDb. He's the first Patrick I came to. So we're out here signing. He has a sign. I don't know what that means. I don't have glasses.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Signing Away Hunger is a not-for-profit that I started with a great deal of help from John and Bonnie back in March. We collect autographs and auction them off, sell them off, and 100% of the money we collect goes to support the food pantry at Arsenal Technical High School, which is a local inner-city high school here in Indianapolis. We find that way too many of our kids, the only time they get to eat is when they're at school. We provide breakfast and lunch to every kid, but when they go home, there's often not food. So we have a food pantry, and our goal is to raise as much money as we can so that kids can take home food, not only for themselves, but their parents, their siblings, and anybody else who lives with them. $10, you get to spin the wheel, and you're guaranteed an autograph And as long as I have cupcakes, you get a birthday cupcake. Or if you're really anxious about the fact that, man, I don't know if I want this autograph, you can bribe me, and for $20 you can pick whatever you want on the table. So anyhow, Signing Away Hunger, right outside this door. You guys really want to hear from John and Bonnie because they're the cool people. But thank you so much, John. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yes, Greg. Okay, back here.
Yes.
So a question about Porthos, the various dogs.
Yes.
How were they to work with, and did they have like a handler or animal trainer?
They were bastards. They were very sweet. It was two girl puppies. I can't remember their names. Of course, now they're long dead, so don't get too sentimental about it. Yeah, it was a long time ago. They were big farters. I will say that. And none of them ever learned their lines, as far as I can tell. At least there's no recorded line of dialogue.
Did you know there was also a bionic Porthos? Does anyone remember this? Because from my episode of Enterprise was the one where the Borg came back, and they actually made a little tiny Borgified Porthos, and they had pictures of it walking down the plank.
I didn't know that.
Well, you were laughing at me getting killed that day.
Bonnie as a Borg, she was killed. So I had to show up on the set that day and sit in the chair, and then she would get phased and she'd fly through the air, and I'd say, "Do it again, I don't think we got it."
He did, he was back by the monitors. I hear gales of laughter, say a squib, and they'd have to go backwards, and I hear, and then they made me do it just like that. They made me do it again. By the way, I've died quite a few times.
Is that your imitation of my laugh? I like that. It's there.
I don't know how you laugh. I don't listen to you. When you
The secret of a happy marriage, ladies and gentlemen. Does anybody want any marital advice before we leave? We've only got a couple more minutes. Anybody have a deep probe? Yes, all the way in the back. Yes. She had marital advice.
I'm going.
And is that your husband next to you? Is that a boyfriend? Oh, okay. Well, right off the bat, there's a problem in your marriage. I don't know who that guy is.
It may be a bonus to the marriage. Just saying.
Speak up, Bonnie. We can't hear you up on the stage.
Oh, your husband, but you have one. Oh.
What, Bonnie? I don't know what the problem is.
What problem?
I don't know. What is it?
She just went here.
He didn't want to come to the con.
Oh.
She brought someone she doesn't even know who's
So
sitting
you
next to her.
brought a total stranger instead.
Interesting. She picked him up on the side of the road.
My husband won't go to the con, so I picked up a stranger on the side of the road.
She offered him freedoms.
This sounds more like your husband's problem to me. In which case, he should come to the convention and he can ask for the free advice.
No.
You're doing fine.
Yes, my advice to you, my marriage advice, is just tell him that John and Bonnie says he should come to the next con with you. Boom, problem done.
Problem solved. We have room. We have time for one more question. But before that, I would like also to say thank you all. You've been wonderful.
Yes.
Indianapolis has been wonderful. I can't speak for the entire city, but the part that I saw inside the hotel.
He went on and on about the inside of the hotel.
Yeah, Lisa Meese has been particularly wonderful. Lisa, who called me with a question about a guest who could not come, and it took me all of 5 seconds to say, "I'll come." So, because I've been here before and I had such a good time. So thank you all. Thank you for your hospitality.
You guys are wonderful.
And there was one more question. I believe it was from you, sir.
You were on a podcast a few years ago talking about how difficult it is for actors and dealing with auditioning for parts in Los Angeles, all the dynamics between driving to them and things of that sort. How has that changed now that Los Angeles is now the absolute center of movie and TV production? Now we're seeing more developing in Atlanta, in Canada, and other parts that are a bit more accessible.
If you're an LA-based actor, it's actually pretty tricky now because you're really going to have to work more and more out of town, which as you get older, and if you love your wife, as I do.
And you have a 22-and-a-half-year-old cat.
You begin to kind of say, no, I don't want to go to Atlanta, no, I don't want to go to Toronto, no, I don't want to go to New Orleans, especially if I'm going to be a series regular or a recurring. So it is one of a number of reasons that I've kind of narrowed my career down. I don't work as much. I frankly spend more time doing charitable stuff and volunteer stuff. And it is a tricky thing. It is a tricky thing. A lot of states compete to give tax credits to productions. I totally get it, although I don't think the tax credits tend to work to the advantage of the states. But it has created this sprawl in the work, and it does make it harder for LA-centric actors. I wish the last question had been a question that would allow me to take my pants off for you, but it wasn't, so there you go. Thank you.
Delightful, John and Bonnie, and my only, and it is exactly true, when we found out that Denise Crosby couldn't come, I called him for some advice, and he said, well, I happen to be free. Which was not why I called, but I can't say it wasn't somewhere in the back of my head, because that wouldn't be honest to say, it never occurred to me that you might say that.
That's kind of how he asked me out too. To be free.
She was coming down with Denise Crosby, and then I said, hell with her.
And the only thing that is not exactly perfect about how this worked out is now I can't have them come next year too. Oh, but they've been delightful here on our stage this year.
We're leaving, I know. They've got another act, Bonnie.
So, if you would like to have a professional photo op done with them, or you would like to have their signature, you can go to the vendor room. They'll be doing that for about the next 90 minutes.
Or if you've got a couple hours, we can do some kind of a pastel portrait.
I was just putting it down for a second.
All right. Lisa, don't screw around with Lisa Niece.
I mean, that's the rule, right? Isn't it, guys? You guys know me. All right.
Where's my
so, you have to hand it off to him before you can carry it for you.
All right, we'll leave it
Details. All right. So.